Hi, welcome to Community Hotline. My name is Monica Weitzel, and we're here in Gresham at MetroEast Community Media. Glad you joined us tonight. We have a good show coming up, and the first guest is going to be Friends of the Children. It's an organization that has now moved from just not being in Portland, but also to the East County area. So to talk about that with us tonight, we have Gary Clemens, who's the National Program Development Manager. Thanks for being here, Gary.
Thanks for having me.
Welcome. So Friends of the Children has been around for how long?
It's been around for 21 years.
That's a long time.
Yeah, really long time. So we started in 1993 by a man named Duncan Campbell. And Duncan, I tell a little bit of story about Duncan. I think that's at the heart of who we are as an organization.
Okay.
Duncan grew up in Northeast Portland. Duncan, early on in his childhood, he also tells a story where he woke up in the middle of the night when he was maybe in third grade and his parents weren't there. And his parents kind of had challenges with substance abuse, and he knew they were probably at the local tavern, so he wandered down there in his pajamas.
How old was he?
He was in the third grade.
Oh, wow.
And so he was left alone in third grade. And you know, he talks about how his dad was in and out of jail his whole life, and things of that nature. And Duncan always, you know, wished he had somebody that was there for him. Well, luckily for us and for a lot of kids in the area, Duncan went on to law school, and then he went on to become a very successful businessman. And he got a bunch of Portland State researchers together, and he said, if I want to help the most vulnerable kids in our community, what do I have to do? And they said, you need a long-term positive adult role model. And so
Something he didn't have.
And something he didn't have.
So despite the odds, he succeeded, but that's very difficult when you have those odds against you.
And he realized he was lucky, and he wanted to change the fortune of a lot of kids.
Wow. Good for him. So that was 21 years ago.
21 years ago. So we created Friends of the Children, and what we do, we provide a full-time paid professional mentor to kids from kindergarten all the way to high school graduation, so for 12 and a half years.
Wow. Now, do they really stay with them that long? Is that been, I mean, sometimes things happen, obviously.
Yeah.
But for the most part, do kids have the one mentor for most of the time?
Well, we have a natural transition. So we have K-5 mentors, and we also have adolescent mentors. So we have a transition between 5th and 6th grade. They go to the adolescent mentor.
Okay.
But our average mentor has been with us 7 years. So the mentors do stay with us.
Wow.
Yeah.
And they're professional mentors.
They're professional mentors. So this is what they do for their full-time job.
Wow.
And what they do, they work with anywhere between 8 and 12 kids. They spend 16 hours a month with the kids, and they help kids academically. They also help kids outside and teach them social learning skills. They help find their spark. So if the child's interested in taking music classes or joining a sports team, they help facilitate that process as well.
So can you give me an example, Gary, so say a child is in kindergarten and they have a mentor assigned to them. How does that process work? They come and meet the mentor comes to meet them, and then what?
So we have a pretty extensive process on the way we select kids for the program. So we partner with 6 elementary schools in the area. And what we do, we send a mentor in the kindergarten class, and they observe the kids for 6 weeks. And what they're looking for risk factors in the kids. So they're looking for the kid that are displaying aggressive behavior in kindergarten, social withdrawal, poor hygiene, wearing the same clothes over and over. But they're also looking for environmental risk factors. So one of both parents might be incarcerated, substance abuse challenges.
Sure, the things that Duncan had to deal with.
The things that Duncan had to deal with. And at the end of that, we have a 3-hour meeting with all the school staff and the friends that did the observation. And then we talk about each kid and hear each kid's story. So, you know, one of the stories I remember is a single dad where the mother was abusing her 3 kids, and then she just got up in the middle of the night and she just moved away and left them there and took their money and things of that nature. And so it was just a single dad that really didn't have the resources and things of that nature, and so they were living in a 10 by 10 foot trailer with 4 people. And so we hear those type of stories,
and they're not uncommon, unfortunately.
No, they're very unfortunate. And so we give each kid a score. So basically, the kids with the highest score, the most risk factors, are the kids that we select them for the program, and then we pair them with a mentor for that 12 and a half years.
And so what do you think this does for those kids? I mean, it's, you know, I'm assuming that this is a huge benefit to these kids, but tell me what it is you're expecting the kids to get out of this mentorship.
So what we expect the kids to get out of it is, one, to find their passion, to have a adult role model, somebody that they know that cares about them, that will be there with them no matter what. But then they hope they reach our 3 long-term outcomes, which we have, and so that they avoid being a teen parent. 98% of our kids do that. 85% of them come from teen parents themselves, that they graduate with a high school diploma or GED. 85% of our kids do that. 50% of them come from a parent that didn't graduate from high school, and that they avoid the juvenile detention center. 97% avoid the juvenile detention center, and 60% of them come from parents that were incarcerated at one time or another.
So your success rate is pretty good.
Yeah,
it's pretty good.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Yeah.
So you choose the children. About how many are in the program at any one time? How many?
So right now currently we have 425 kids in the Portland metro
really?
area. Yes.
Oh, I had no idea it was that big.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. So we're really proud of that. And so we select the kids from 6 schools, but they're in over 120 different schools in the area. So they kind of spread out in the area.
Wow, that's amazing. So, but now you are actually moving out into the East County area too, and what prompted you to do that?
Well, I mean, as I mentioned, we started in Northeast Portland. That's where Duncan grew up, and we used to only select from elementary schools in that area. But as of since 2010. Our population 3 times has moved over to East County. So
demographics
it has grown.
have changed a lot.
Demographics have changed.
Yeah,
So 50% of our population now live east of 82nd.
Okay.
And so we're seeing that our mentors have to drive a lot more because we're based out of Northeast Portland.
Okay.
So they have to do a lot more driving and trying to figure out things to do with the kids. So
Right.
yeah.
So now you are now moving to are you planning to move to a new location?
We are planning to move to a new location.
So tell me about that.
Yeah, so we projected that by 2018, 75% of our kids are going to live in East County. And so on 172nd and Gleason, we plan to build a brand new building. So the old POW building, we're going to build. We purchased that building. We're going to build on top of that. The gym was built in 1993, so we're going to salvage the gym and keep the gym.
So it's the old Police Activities League building.
Exactly. So we're going to build a 8,500 square foot brand new building. That's
nice.
Yeah.
So that's smack dab in the middle of Rockwood area, right?
Exactly.
That'll be a great addition to that area, I think.
It would be a great addition. I mean, we've done some stats, and we've seen that 25% of the population lives in East County, and 40% of kids live in East County in that area. But they only have 3% of the family and child services in that area. So we want to kind of bring that. There's a big need. Yeah, there's a big need for it.
So how are you going to go about doing this? That's kind of a that's a big project.
That's
going to cost a lot of money.
It is a big project.
Yeah.
We have a capital campaign going where we're trying to raise $5 million. We're 40% there.
I'd write you a check right now, Gray, but I forgot my checkbook. So
okay, all right.
You're 40% there already.
I take credit too.
Yeah. Oh, great. Great. I'm in trouble now.
Yeah.
So how are you going about doing that? I mean, are you reaching out to community members?
We're reaching out to everyone. So community members, foundations, every dollar helps. So that's really important.
So if there was a Rotary Club out there or a Kiwanis Club or something that wanted to find a project and they wanted to raise money and donate to Friends of the Children, they could do that.
Exactly.
And you'd probably come and talk to their meeting and tell them about it so they know what they were giving their money to.
Exactly.
Right?
And it's a wonderful building. It's going to be a great building. Like I said, it's going to be 8,500 square feet, but it's going to be a learning kitchen in the building. They're going to be a media center for the kids so they can put together music videos and music tapes and things of that nature.
So when will the kids use that facility? I mean, is it someplace they would go after school or just when they're with their mentor, or how is that going to work?
So they would go there with their mentor, and also, what's great about our program, when kids get into the adolescent years, we have teen space that happens Wednesday night and Friday at Friends that happens on Friday night. So we invite teens to come there and kind of just hang out and be with one another, because
instead of being on the street corners at the Mac stop.
Exactly. Yeah. And what's great, another thing that's great about the building, that while we're developing and putting together the plans for the building, the architect is meeting with the kids and asking what they want from the building.
That's exactly what they need to do. That's good. I'm glad to hear that. You also have kind of a relationship, with Boys and Girls Club.
Yes.
Now, are they going to be co-located there, or how?
Well,
I remember reading something about that.
Yeah, they actually they're not going to be they're not going to be there, but they're going to be 8 blocks away. So we do have a partnership with them. So they're going to come over and maybe use our space sometimes, share our space. But we're also going to partner with them in a sense of if a lot of our kids go to use Boys and Girls Clubs. So if Johnny is using the Boys and Girls Club and Johnny doesn't show up for a couple weeks and things of that nature, they can call us and ask and say, do you know where Johnny is?
And their mentor's probably going to know what's going on.
Exactly. Or if Johnny is having a tough time, we can sit down with their staff and with our staff and maybe figure out some solutions on how to help Johnny. So it's going to be a great partnership. Yeah.
So you said that the mentors will work with the kids, and I assume they're both men and women, boys and girls, right?
Correct.
And
yes.
they'll help them academically.
Mm-hmm.
And how else? You said socially. I mean,
Yeah.
what kinds of things do they do with them?
We do a lot of different things with them. I often tell a story. I was a mentor. I started as a mentor,
Okay.
and I tell a story of I had a young guy. That I started working with, and he was in kindergarten. And this young guy, he loved playing basketball. And actually, the first time we hung out, he wanted to go play basketball.
Oh, nice.
And then he was, imagine this little six-year-old guy. We're walking out to the basketball court, and he asked me, "What are we going to bet? What are we going to bet?" And I said, "Whoa, look down at it. Yeah, what are we going to bet?"
Whoa.
Yeah. And so he wanted to bet me $100 with that, and I said, "I don't know. I want to bet you $100."
How was he going to get $100?
Exactly. He said it doesn't. I asked him that. He said it doesn't matter. I'm going to win anyway. So anyway,
I love the confidence.
Yeah.
That's great.
So as we started playing basketball, I got to see some of his personality. So whenever he missed 2 or 3 shots, he said, "I suck. I'm terrible. No one loves me." Kick the ball and start crying and things of that nature. But he kept coming back and kept wanting to play. So a game up to 7 took an hour of that. Took a long time. But I got to see more of his personality when school started. So he was suspended 15 times his first grade year. From flipping over a desk, yelling at a teacher.
First grader, 15
Yes,
times?
yes.
There's some anger there.
Yeah, very much so. Yeah, and to give you a little history about him, his mother had her first child when she was 16. He was the youngest of 3. His father passed away in prison when he was in 4th grade.
Oh, that's
so he had some
heartbreaking.
abandonment issues and some
Yeah.
self-esteem issues. But again, like I said, he always wanted to play basketball. So what I did as a mentor, I knew that's something that he wanted to be engaged with. So I figured I was going to teach him some anger management or the way he regulate his emotions while we were playing basketball. And so
Work it in there without him even knowing
exactly. So before we went, when we were on our way out to the courts, I used to talk to him and say, okay, when I blocked your shot or steal the ball, what things can you do, or what can you think about to not get so upset so you can maybe beat me? And so we would talk about that, talk it through. And as he was getting angrier as we were playing the game, I kind of talked him through those things.
Remember what we talked about.
And then after the game was over, I can definitely say good job to him. But what ended up happening, while we were in school, when he was getting angry in school, I was able to say, hey, this is just like the basketball court.
Oh.
Hey,
So were you with him in school?
I was with him in school. So that's the great thing about the program. The mentors actually get to work with the child in the classroom. In the classroom.
Wow.
Yeah. So
that's great.
his 2nd grade year, he was suspended 11 times. Improvement.
Hey,
It's
that's
improvement. Yeah, there was an improvement. But I started to see the wheels started turning with him and things of that nature. And what's great about the program is that, you have that long relationship. And so you can really help a child through their struggles, and see the peaks and valleys with the
feel
child.
their pain too. Boy.
Exactly.
I can imagine that would be, you'd probably get really, really close.
We do get really close with the child. I mean, the child really trusts us. I mean, he looked forward to me coming every week, and I look forward to seeing him as well. And so, his 3rd grade year, he wasn't suspended at all. His 3rd grade year. Yeah.
Good job, both of you.
Yeah, and again, I used the basketball to also help academically. So we would maybe play a game and we'll count by 5 or count by 10 in a game, or we'll play a game of horse and use a word like didactic or something like that.
I love it.
So we can, expand his vocabulary.
Didactic instead of horse.
Exactly.
Nice.
Exactly.
Because every 3rd grader uses that word.
Exactly. Well, at least one does now.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah,
that's great.
Yeah.
That sounds like it would be really rewarding to be a mentor, although a lot of work.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we're almost out of time. So tell me just a rundown a little bit more about the campaign. If people want to donate, be involved,
So you can go to our website, friendsofthechildren.org, or you can call and get involved in way. But so you don't also just have to donate with money. If you want to come volunteer, we have summer camps going on.
So you look for volunteers?
Yeah, volunteers as well. So
what kind of things could people do in the summer camps?
Summer camps, they can come, and we have a program called Book Buddies. So if you can come during your lunchtime and you can come just read to a child, because we want every child to be on benchmark by 3rd grade. So just come to read to a child for 45 minutes or half an hour is really beneficial to us as well.
And you're currently in Northeast Portland. So that'll be there until you're, when do you expect to be in
So
East County?
in spring 2015,
Okay,
we
that's your-
plan on opening,
Right,
opening
right.
doors.
Well, thanks very much, Gary. I appreciate you being
Yeah.
here today.
Thank you
and
again for having
great
me.
organization, so keep up the good work.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for watching this first segment of Community Hotline. Don't go away. We'll be right back with more from Community Hotline.